Hi everyone, thanks for stopping in. This is Val, also known as Baller Tom to many of those in Brave, and thank you for showing up for the first episode of a new series I'm going to be running called MidScale. What we're going to be doing is at least in this episode, we're going to be looking at a matchup between Caracals and Jackdaws that I ran, and the basis of this is Goons. They had brought a Jackdaw fleet to our space, and we simply just formed a fleet just to fight. There's no Sov or anything like that. It was just a roaming fleet looking for a fight from another team's standing fleet. What we have on our side is about 28 Caracals and 23 Jackdaws, and this matchup is, unless the Jackdaws play perfectly, it's very Caracal favored. The Caracals that we ran in this video, they're cap stable fit with a medium cap battery, and as long as the Caracals can remain in their missile range, it will pretty much always favor in a medium scale setting the Caracals when it comes to both kill speed and as well as trading on ISK, because Jackdaws are an alpha comp when it comes to fighting cruisers. However, they do have a pretty slow kill speed. So what's happening now is that the Jackdaws are on the other side of the gate. And I'm going to go up just a little bit on volume.
Yeah, what Joey says, you can heat your missile launchers all the time and then just repair them when you reload.
One thing I do want to say is I've vastly changed my interface since this video. This was back in 2018, so there's no reason this needs to be extended as far as it is. I use a different overview than now. This is a modified version of what Zarvox used for an overview, and that works for the very small stuff, but as you scale, you need additional tabs to show different things.
But do not burn them out. Just know that you can repair
And I'm
the
gonna skip ahead just a little bit. There we go. So they spike into local right as I give a fleet warp to the gate.
Anchor on land. Saber jump the gate.
When one guy decloaks early, always go for him. Always go for him.
Alright, shoot that Jackdaw, shoot that Jackdaw,
Because
shoot that Jackdaw.
he won't have any links and he will not have any logi. And sure, the Karen's there, but
we're fine where we are.
that won't be enough to hold him, of course.
Shoot that Jackdaw. Alright, then shoot Zoltan. Links on, bargain. Shoot Zoltan.
So when a fleet is crashing through a gate, you always want to focus the ones that are not crashing immediately. So notice you're going to see some of these guys, they don't have their speed up. If you just zoom out and see the ones that are not, like this guy and this guy and that guy right over there, those three are the ones that you're likely going to get a kill on because they're not reacting correctly. They're not crashing at the same speed as everybody else. So always shoot the ones who are not crashing the gate correctly. So at this point, what I'm expecting is for the goons to pull range on the other side. We're all aggressed, so there's basically nothing we can really do if they actually want to get at 100 kilometers. However, taking a gate into a hostile fleet, while it is a disadvantage because they have all their links up, they're already anchored, they're at their preferred ranges, it doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible to take a fight. It's just a disadvantage. And a disadvantage doesn't necessarily mean you will automatically lose. So in some cases, it's okay to take a gate. And always aggressively reload your rapid lights whenever there's a lull in the fighting or whenever there's any kind of far distance from each other.
Right, it's just me and you.
Also, I do like FCing cruisers pretty much always in battle cruisers. If it's like a 10MN MOA fleet, do that in a Drake. If it's a Caracal fleet, do it in a Cyclone. The reason for that is you get access to combat probes, and you get a couple shield links too. So anyone who's new to doing cruiser fleets, absolutely recommend FCing from a battle cruiser. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit.
Medium is still there, yeah. 100 mil Jackdaw. Just orbit the gate of 500.
Right now, just waiting on aggression, waiting for the
combats. This is true.
Just gonna skip ahead a little bit. Come on, internet. I don't have the original VOD anymore, or else I'd just do it from my desktop, but so be it.
Alright, that's not that bad. They're pretty much there.
Come on, internet. I believe in you. Man, this is crap.
Cloaks, everybody, hold your cloaks.
There we go. All right, so whenever you load a grid into a hostile fleet, always remind people to hold their cloaks. Everyone to hold their cloaks, because you need a minute to kind of take a look and to see where they're going, and that way nobody gets primaried early. In Caracals, what you want to do is you want to be leading their anchor. So eventually, what I want to do is I want to be clicking in front of where they're going, because I want to get as close to them as possible for a couple of reasons. One, we need to get them bubbled if we can. And two, they will be the ones who will be wanting to kite from us, because Jackdaws, they shoot further than Caracals. They can move faster in propulsion mode, but they lose a lot of their bonuses that they really need in order to be competitive. And that's defense and sharpshooter. So they're going to be the ones who want to pull range from us.
All right, that's not that bad.
Whenever you are doing this too, you want to shoot the guys in the back. Never shoot the guys in the front, because the guys in the front will be the ones who will eventually be the ones furthest away from you. When it's a Caracal versus Jackdaw, that's an alpha fight. So you only shoot in mid-scale PvP DPS ships in an alpha fight.
They're pretty much
Both sides
All
should
right,
be basically
3,
blowing each other
2,
away.
1. Anchor up, props on. Deckard's your primary.
One thing I already dislike
Lombard.
that I did, I was way too early on the links. Probably half the fleet just didn't get that link. And two, you need to be giving clear direction to your Logi anchor on where you're going and what you're going to do, especially in a micro warp drive fleet. Because once you get going, it's very easy to get very separated. This is one of the most common mistakes that I see new FCs make, is you got to give direction to your Logi anchor. You got to let him know what you're doing, so that way he knows what he has to do. So frankly, what I should be telling the Logi anchor is I'm going to dive on them, come right with me. The reason why it doesn't matter if for the Logi to get closer to the Jackdaws, is that the Jackdaws are going to be ranged to the Logi basically the whole time. And yeah, there will be a little bit of mitigation due to missile flight time on the Logi being closer rather than away. However, it's not enough to the point where we want to have the Logi maintain distance.
Lock up both those Jackdaws. Lock up Deckard.
I kind of wish I had my fleet window open. Yeah, there we go.
Shoot both those broadcasts.
I dislike that I am calling multiple broadcasts at a time. In an alpha fight, you want to be doing no more than, I would say, 3 broadcasts at a time.
Alex now, prop on.
They're still within our missile flight range, so we can
Alex,
still do it. But as you can see, they are kiting.
Logi pull into us.
Yeah, there we go. I finally call Logi pull into us, but really, I could have just had them stay on top of us.
Oh man.
The split damage is kind of okay. It shouldn't happen, because if they had enough Logi, they could catch both of them. So that is a mistake I did. I should have been a lot more clear.
Props off now, Caracals. Props off. Props off for just a moment.
So I called the prop off right there. I think the reason why I would have done this is because the fleet is so sprung out that it's going to come to the point where, yeah, it might look like I'm 30 kilometers from a lot of these Jackdaws, but a lot of my guys might be another 20 kilometers away. So we're at the point where, one, we're pushing our rapid late reload, and we need to start thinking about reloading. And we're also having a problem where some people might not also be in missile flight range, because these guys, they're going to be burning around in missile range of the guys in the back, which means they're going to be able to alpha some of us, and we're not going to be able to just kill some of them. So that is kind of a vulnerability of what happens when you jump into a gate, but
now we're gonna
so be it.
We're popping on again. You should have Freddy locked up and Kentucky. All damage on Kentucky, then Freddy. Okay, now shoot Freddy. Shoot Freddy.
So this is kind of the lock speed that I recommend with in relation to what you're broadcasting. I don't recommend you're just, if you broadcast like 4 people, you're just gonna confuse people. So as soon as one target dies, call a new secondary, and you should already have a secondary lined up for them to shoot. It's a very efficient way for people to not get confused and always shoot the right target.
Okay, we're gonna ignore him.
Some Jackdaw just land in the back. I just choose to ignore him, I think, but
all drones on this Jackdaw. All damage drones and Jackdaw above.
So we just go and rapidly reload. This Jackdaw is isolated, so I just call for tackle. At least I should have called for tackle. I didn't. Just call for Jones to just go on him. Right now, when you're going on reload like this, what you can do is you can actually just pull straight up. you can either warp to a ping, however it's risky if there's any sabers around that can bubble you. So you can either warp to a ping that you may have and try and combat him down, or you can just burn straight up. These guys, they're burning straight downwards, so that will mean the missile flight range of the Jackdaws will actually fall off at some point. So
Should be pinging any second.
just sitting there trying to tank them like this, I don't like, because they do have the
Alright,
ability
everybody just
to.
align straight up. Jones in, align straight up, Jones in.
That was so late.
What's
That was so. I
actually
really
ping on
should have
David?
called an earlier align. And also, it does take a little while for cruisers
Anybody?
to
Yeah.
align up.
Oh, you reloaded? Okay.
2 seconds.
Okay. Okay. In 3, I guess start aligning to them. In 3, 2, 1. Heat your pops. 2 seconds.
I really don't like that. I really don't like the fact that I just said align to them.
That broadcast. Like a fly silver.
Oh yeah, Razor I think was their FC, so I try and avoid headshotting
Razor.
with these
Fire
random
fly
fights. And also, if it wasn't just a random fun fight, if you shoot an FC, likely they're just gonna leave. And if we don't have any way to tackle them, well, you don't want to scare an FC in order to leave, because you'll get less kills overall.
We're heating props. We're getting down there.
And I also should
Everything
be
on fire.
communicating to my Logi FC that he really needs to be
After that, lock up the Bifrost.
diving with me right now.
And you're unlocking Razor. Everything on Fly Silver and then David.
I don't know how I feel about going for Lynx in this circumstance. We're able to stay within damage range pretty comfortably, and at this number of Jackdaws, they're just not really.
Freddy next to us in Jackdaw. Lock up Freddy.
They're not really able to alpha us anymore. You need a little above 30 Jackdaws to alpha
Freddy
a cruiser.
He's right next to us. He's broadcasted. That's fine. That's fine. Stay on Fly Silver.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Bicycle's going down.
Good job. Stay on him. Now everything on David. David.
I turned off my micro drive here. I'm not entirely certain why. I think it was just likely a mistake I made.
Everything on David, guys, in the Jackdaw. After that, lock up Raph. Raph is your new secondary. Lock him up. He's broadcast.
As soon as this
After that,
David
lock
guys goes
Spaceman.
down, there we go. That's the speed you want to be doing
Now
broadcasting
Raph is
at.
your primary.
When you're DPSing like this and you're basically killing one target every 5 seconds, as soon as your primary dies, you should be calling a new
Raph is
secondary.
your primary. We're just gonna stay on them. I don't care. Logi, we're just gonna keep burning down.
Yeah, dirt. You got cap for days.
Cap for days. Can't even hold all this cap. Stay on Raph.
Also, don't laugh at my warrior ones. This tune was pretty much just for FCing, and I never really trained any damage skills on him.
No, everything on Spaceman. You should be shooting Spaceman.
Alright, well, at this point,
and walking up
it's
to
pretty
the
much just cleanup. So I'm just gonna speed it up a little bit.
Is it just me or they're too far?
Yep. You know, we are. Popped off, everybody. Popped off.
Freddy's landing. They're still well within reach of the nuke.
Hi, more guys. Jones in.
One on Freddy.
It's fine. Everybody, Jones in. We're gonna be pinging any second, so Jones in.
So one tackle did just mention that he was going to go for tackle on something. When you're about to warp, you really have to set your tackle people up for success. So always tell your tacklers as soon as you know that you plan on pinging, or else you're going to kind of leave them behind.
Align straight up, guys. Just align straight up. Big sweep warp. Reload. I don't care where you are on your missiles. You're reloading your rapid lights right now.
Whenever you ping, it is a good idea to call a reload. I'm sure the Jackdaws can warp to us right now, but it's kind of still okay. It's not the end of the world, because by the time they get to us, we're already mid reload, so the effectiveness of us not shooting will be less by reloading. This Jackdaw FC, I do think, made a pretty critical mistake. He should be warping at us at 100 right now and getting ready to kite. And the reason why it works for the Jackdaws in this case is because we are going to be the ones who are trying to micro drive into them while they're burning away from us. This will mean that it is a strong likelihood that our missiles won't hit their Jackdaws because they have to travel further, but our Caracals are flying towards them, which means it's much easier for their missiles to not run out of their maximum flight range. So this Jackdaw FC 100% should have warped onto me at 100 specifically.
Line down to the enemies.
If you don't know how to combat probe, we'll get into this into another episode that we'll be doing that'll be a little more under the mechanical side. However, you always need to have combat probes preset on any grid that you ever are on.
Alright, we got a good hit on them.
These guys are micro driving and moving right now, so I likely combat probe them when they were over here. So my probe result is going to be over here. So if I warped to this old probe hit right here, then likely I'll end up like 50 off them. And that's not good because they're just going to continue to kite away. And as we talked about earlier, if Jackdaws can get to 100, that's where they want to be. That's their win condition in this matchup.
Line to them, guys. Line to the enemies.
Also, the longer you wait to initiate warp like this, the greater chance your entire fleet will be aligned.
Take warp. We're going down to them, guys.
I should have kept my links running. There's no reason to turn them off.
Flaps on. Put on your hardeners. Freddy's your primary upon land. Freddy. Oh, we got in fucking in front of them. That's funny. Saber bubble if you can.
I didn't land in front of them, but that would have been really cool if I did.
This is just rude. Everything on Freddy. Secondary Nikolai.
Love the
Everything on
first
Freddy.
bubble.
Props on. Reps on
Oh, my
secondary.
prop. This is so bad. That's so bad. So everything is so critical when it comes to timing. And even just waiting a
You're
couple of
giving props.
seconds is going to give
Props on
them
cycle.
more distance. And the more
Freddy,
distance, the better.
secondary NAK in the Jackdaw.
It kind of worked out in our favor because these guys MWD'd to the side for some reason. If they were fighting a turret-based matchup, that would have been a little bit better. Say if it's something like Moa's or Ferox's, that would have helped them with tracking. But it's just a missile comp, so they really should have just flown directly away.
Lock up Zod. Lock up Zod. Everything on NA.
Notice where I'm clicking. I'm clicking actually in front of where they're going. This will cut distance overall rather than if I just did approach. Unfortunately, they did just change their directions, but
Yeah, I see him. We're not gonna go.
point still remains.
Everything on Zod.
I really should be calling a new secondary right now. That's very, very late calling. Because you want to have a target locked for everyone ready to shoot
Riola secondary.
right as the next one dies. And it will also give less time for
Lock up the saber.
people to
next us.
broadcast for
Riola.
reps from when they see the yellow box.
And then secondary saber.
I really don't like calling the Saber primary, and the reason why I think, in my opinion, it's a very poor idea to call a Saber primary in this case, is that it's also very possible that this Saber can inadvertently bubble his own fleet, and because I want the fight to remain going, I don't care if I get bubbled. If I do, I mean, I'll just burn out of it. It doesn't matter with a microdrive cruiser comp like this. However, if these guys manage to get bubbled even for another server tick, that can be the difference between another kill and not. So I really dislike that I shot a Saber there.
We're just gonna prop on for as long as we can. Lock up Isis in the Jackdaw. Lock up Isis.
Whenever someone lands late, that is always a great secondary, for a couple of reasons. Frigate Logi has a optimal range of like 10 kilometers, and sure, it goes into fall off a little bit after that, but this guy will be receiving far worse reps, and additionally, he's not yet moving, so it will be far more quicker for our missiles to apply.
After that, alright, just put your drones. Primary damage on drones then. Prop off. We're gonna stop.
I didn't quite articulate what I meant by that. What I should have said is missiles on this Jackdaw, light drones on this tower. That's what I should have said. And the reason why is the tower is basically untanked, and Jackdaws are, obviously need to use missiles. So I start backing up a little bit here. I think it's because I'm about to go and reload. However, my prop's off.
Turn your props off once you get to me.
So when you see your fleet strung out like this, what you need to do is say if you want to stop MWDing, what you have to do is you actually have to call micro warp drives to continue for like 2 cycles once you stop moving yourself. This is going to allow everyone in the fleet to get back on anchor. So this is definitely an inexperienced mistake on my part on that one.
Drones in, guys. Drones in. Are they turning into us?
They are.
Oh man.
Yeah, these guys, I think they were coming for Valhalla, so I think it's important to remember that. Whenever you're in a missile platform, you should basically never be directly approaching your target. You should always have, if you want to keep an equal distance, then you have basically a manual orbit like this to always make sure you have your speed up. If you want to get closer to them, then you put your orbit kind of like this, and I say a manual orbit. And if you want to pull range, then you kind of kite out like this. This always means you get your full speed up, and this is also how you can turn into them while not losing any speed. This becomes much more important in some other types of hack fights, especially when it comes to Serbs.
Alright, prop on. We're going into them. these is primary.
So
Secondary
because
French.
they're approaching us and we're approaching
Okay,
them, the
so it's-
distance is going to pretty much go dramatically in our favor.
In large
And
part,
also
large
for them to
part.
turn, the other crucial part of that is now if they have to turn, if they want to go directly away now, they're going to lose all of their speed. And if they had been doing, for example, back to this side orbit, they would lose almost none of their speed by going outwards like this. So if they were thinking like this kind of orbit, if they need to pull range, then instead of doing this, they just adjust to do this. And this means they don't lose any of their speed. So it was kind of a bit of a movement mistake for them just to kind of just nosedive because now to adjust, they have to lose almost all of their speed, which they did for a second, and
Is your primary French with a
they kind of corrected it.
now
But if you saw earlier, we'll back up to actually see it. You're going to see a lot of their speeds just plummet. Yeah, here it is. All their speeds just plummeted down to like 1,000. So this means while we are at full speed, going about 2k a second, we will pretty much, they won't be able to gain any distance on us now unless they go into propulsion, which weirdly enough, a linked Caracal is faster than a Jackdaw in propulsion mode. So
DHR is your primary.
they're not going to be able to get any distance on
Look up Marty in
us.
the Jackdaw. Marty in the Jackdaw is your new secondary. Jones at 2, Jones at 2, Jones at 2. We're just gonna go as far as we can on cap. Now,
So this is pretty much just cleanup from here. I'm going to speed it up, but at this point, whenever you have a fleet that's trying to run from you and you're a nullsec, you basically, what you have to do is you got to have a frigate, dive on the anchor, scram him, get a dictor on them, and at that point their entire fleet will stop, you got them all bubbled, and then you just frag whatever most expensive ships you can at that point, because these guys clearly are out of steam. We're actually going to go on, pardon me, we're going to go on faster mode here. Yeah, and whenever you see these blue lines like that, suddenly, that's a fleet warp. Ah, so close to that guy right there, but
yeah, but line to that wreck they're at.
yeah, they warp to a wreck. Never warp to a wreck at 0. Always do it at range.
Line to broadcast. Line to broadcast.
When you were landing like this, sorry, that was my Discord ping. Sorry for everyone I just triggered. However, whenever part of your fleet is in a bubble, and some of them are not, I just call for everyone to MWD. Because that means there are no mistakes. Sure, people lose a little cap, but there can't be a mistake if everyone is micro warp driving to get out of the bubble. And sure, it'll like lower the align time a little bit, but that it doesn't matter in most cases.
Regroup on us as soon as you can. Tackle anything you guys can.
And then we'll go here.
Just broadcast something you have scrammed or pointed.
Whenever you are kind of landing on a fleet that's trying to run from you, empower your tackle by having them call you a primary. Have them point and or scram and broadcast anything, and then tell your fleet to just free fire on anything that's broadcasted. Sorry for another Discord ping. I'll meet that in another episode. All right, then that's pretty much the end of this fight. It's just clean up from this.
Good job. Bypass the tertiary.
Now to show the battle report, which I actually had to dig up. This one was a little bit ago. It looks pretty bad for goons actually. However, this was entirely fightable, I think, if they had managed their positioning a little bit better. Kind of like that thought earlier with how you manage your movement in a missile comp is you always have to be doing a manual orbit at where you want to be. So again, let's say this gate is the hostile fleet. We're going to do a manual orbit like this to maintain your current distance. If they close on you, then you get your orbit out a little. You get your orbit out by going like this. And if they pull away, you don't just dive on them like this. You put your orbit closer along this path to pull in. And this also is going to prevent you from getting slingshotted, which is, let's say this gate is where the hostile fleet is. Let's say they pull straight away. If I pull straight into them and they turn around, then we may be in a position where, let's say, for example, I didn't want to be the fleet that is in close range. This is going to give them an opportunity for them to slam right into me as quickly as they can, while I have to adjust my angle. And if I'm going straight at them, I'm going to have to cut my speed substantially in order to get to the new direction that I need to be facing. And when it comes to missile combat, you should almost never be directly approaching your target. Always do this sort of angled approach.
So now we're shooting NAT. You're locking up the Bifrost with Bone. Bone is your secondary.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. So that's everything for this episode. I want to keep it short. I'm thinking for this format, I'm thinking just one battle per video, unless there's a specific concept that I want to get into. And in the future, likely what we'll be doing, so we'll just be covering just different fights, different mechanics, how different matchups can play out, where different fleets want to be at different sort of angles of the fight. So for now, that's going to be it for this episode. I'm going to be doing a lot more, and also I do want to note that these videos, they're not designed to show off. I'm not trying to be like, we pulled this off in this way, and I'm not trying to say by showing a battle that, yeah, essentially the same thing. I'm not trying to show off. So some of these videos may look a little one-sided. However, if they show a concept that I think is important, then that's going to be why I'm showing it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. I'm going to be doing a lot more, definitely on a weekly basis. So subscribe if you wanna see it. I also want to offer anybody who wants me to look at one of their battles, or wants any advice, or or has a question. You are more than welcome to leave a comment or send me even in game, if it's a video, I'd be happy to look at any fights anybody wants to send to me. I want this channel to be a completely neutral place. So even if you think you're in a group that's hostile to me, it doesn't matter. What I want to do is I want to help other groups develop, because what I see a lot is a lack of confidence, even in the existing FCs out in nullsec. And this applies to anybody in wormhole space, applies to anybody in lowsec, anybody who wants to send me something. I'd be happy to look at it. And even if you wanted to do it like on comms, I'd be open to that too. And if you simply just wanted to do it where you're not even there and I just look and comment on the video, I'd be happy to do so. So let me just say thanks for watching, everyone, and see you all soon.